everybody, how's it going? Good to hear. I only have room on my lap for one cat at a time, I'm sorry. You're watching the Christiana 321. I am the Christiana, and today I thought it would be fun. If you saw my Little Libraries vlog from a few weeks ago now, I got this book called The Painted Fly and Other Stories for the Young by Christoph von Schmid, 1848. I don't know a whole lot about this book and the stories within. 3 stories in here from what I can tell. The Painted Fly, The Water Pitcher, and The Cakes. The first 2 are pretty long, so I might go back and read those and then just give you a review later on. But what I wanted to do is read through this story with you and kind of review it, give it a more modern outlook. I don't have very long, so I might get interrupted by going to class, so we'll see. So the story is from 1848, but I don't know its stance in the copyright world, so I'm just going to say up front, because we're reviewing this and giving it a modern makeover, postmodern, depending on how you're using that word, this counts as fair use. So, The Cakes. Also, just like very cute little drawings in here. Really enjoy them. Young Fred was a gay, lively boy, about 10 years old, was the son of the wood ranger at Grunenthal. Grunenthal. I want to say the author is German. I apologize for any of the pronunciation. But yeah, 4th word in, gay. In this context, very obviously means happy, but you wouldn't normally see it in a story written this decade, at least not in this use. Unless we find out he actually is, you know, attracted to dudes. Given that he's 10, I'm guessing there won't be much romance in here. We'll see. His father received a letter one morning which he was to carry from Herr von Grunenthal to Drachenstein, a castle that lay beyond the very mountains and in the heart of a thick forest. Cool, got a mission, bringing a letter from here to there. Neat. It will be a hard journey, said the father, especially as the foot injury I got the other day. I have a foot injury when we were hunting is not yet healed. From here to Drachenstein is 3 good leagues. A league, I believe, is like, what, 20 miles? Hey Google, how far is a league? A nautical league is 3.452 miles. There you go. Why was I thinking it was 20? Anyway, 3 good leagues, assuming that it's the same as nautical leagues. It's only like 12 miles? Between 10 and 12 miles? 10 and a half, yeah. About 10 and a half miles. A little bit less. I'm so good at math. Since our good master orders it, I must obey. But Fred offered to carry the letter. Send me, dear father, he said. The whole road, I know, goes through a forest, but I do not mind that. I know it well from this to our own bounds, and can easily find out the rest of it and safely give the letter into the hands of Herr von Drachenstein. I do not know any 10-year-olds who talk like this. Although currently I don't think I know any 10-year-olds at all. However, he's very excited to go on an adventure in the forest. Seems legit. Very well, said the father. Give the letter into his own hands. You know him well. There is a large sum of money in the letter. Perhaps you may get something for your trouble. He then described the road for Fred from their own bounds to Drachenstein. A father trusting a 10-year-old to go 10 miles on their own with a bunch of money in their pocket through some sketchy forest? I mean, we don't know it's sketchy, but I'm guessing. The little fellow buckled on his hunting pouch and slinging his fowling piece over his shoulder, started on his journey. What's a fowling piece? I'm not going to look up all the words that I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it has something to do with birds, like that kind of fowl. Bird killing device, which also, like, you're just gonna send a 10-year-old with a weapon. I mean, a weapon back then probably is not what it would be today. But you know, started on his journey. He arrived safely at the castle and told the servants that he had been directed to deliver the letter into the master's own hand. The servant led him up the broad step. A servant led him up the broad stone steps into the splendid apartment where von Rauhenstein was engaged with a party of officers at the card table. Okay, so he already delivered the letter? That wasn't the mission. That wasn't the hero's journey of this tale. I guess maybe coming back from the castle? It is a short story, but it's not that short. Fred made his best bow to the gentleman and delivered his letter, in which it appeared there were 100 gold pieces. Herr von Rauhenstein went to his writing desk and wrote a few lines, acknowledging the receipt of the money. "All right," said he, sitting down in a hurry to the card table. "You can retire now. No other answer is at present necessary. It will follow you." With a heavy heart, poor Fred returned down the broad stone stairs, for he was hungry and thirsty and quite tired. But as he was passing through the court, he was met by the cook, who was coming out of the garden with a large knife in one hand and cauliflowers in the other. Do they have cauliflower in Germany? Like, naturally? And no, now, like, you can get whatever food wherever you are, but I didn't know that was native to Germany. I guess also I don't know that this is in Germany, so. She knew by the poor boy's face the state of his feelings. "Come with me, little Forester," said she kindly, "and I will give you some bread and drink of good milk. You might otherwise faint upon the road. You are far from home, and there is not a single house on the way. You must not take it ill of our master that he offered you nothing to eat." There's a footnote telling me that I should read the Bible verse Luke 6:37. So if you would like to pause and go find that verse, go ahead. Okay. He does not think of such things, yet he finds no fault when we give something to people. Okay, so he meets a strange lady with a big knife and some cauliflower, and she's offering him something to eat. I don't know the rules for who's allowed in that area of the castle. Maybe trustworthy, maybe secretly a witch. Let's find out. The cook led Fred into the kitchen, where the large fire was blazing on the hearth. "Lay aside your pouch and your little fowling piece and sit down here," said she, pointing to the little table in the corner of the kitchen. She then brought him plenty of soup and meat, vegetables and bread, and a small bowl of milk. Fred thought he had never been feasted so sumptuously. And we got a picture of him and the cook. And this very accurate drawing, they look to be about the same age. So maybe also he looks way older than 10, or that's a very small table. He was refreshed and ready for his journey, but before he started, he said to the cook 100 times at least, "God reward you." And that too with as much reverence as if she had been the lady of the castle. He even kissed her hand, although she tried to prevent him. "Take no for an answer, Fred. Can't just go around kissing people's hands." Whew! Happy as a prince, Fred set out on his journey, but when he had been nearly a half hour on the road, he saw a squirrel in an open space in the forest. The little animal was quite a rarity to him, for he had scarcely ever seen one in the forest of Grunenthal. Fred was very young and too easily distracted, but at all events, he resolved to take the squirrel alive. He flung a piece of rotten bough, like a branch, a rotten branch at the little animal, and started in full chase from oak to oak, into the depths of the Black Forest, where he lost sight of his game, and what was much more serious, lost the road. So what happens when you send a 10-year-old alone to go 10 miles one way and 10 miles back? In one day? Oof. He wandered around for the rest of the day and half the succeeding night, through the thick forest, till at last, sinking with hunger and fatigue, he crept beneath some low bushes, and fell into a troubled sleep. He rose in the morning, more faint than he had been before he lay down. What's the one where he goes off into the forest and he sleeps for 100 years? Is this that one? He looked around and advanced, he knew not whither. Where? The place was utterly unknown to him. The wild deer, starting up, bounding off in terror when they saw him, convinced him that he must be in the heart of some unfrequented wood. Alright, I've got class. I'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. Can you tell the lighting changed? It's because now it's dark outside. Class went a little bit long, but the lighting was gonna change no matter what. So anyway, where were we? A herd of swine crossed his path. Pigs. It's not really an old-timey word. Like, it's an old-timey word, but we still use it. And among them, a huge boar, which threatened him with its sharp tusks, and made the poor boy scream in agony and fly for his life. He continued to wander about until noonday, when, unable to move farther, he tottered and fell, exhausted, to the ground. He cried and called as loud as he could, but there was no answer except the echo of his voice in the silent forest. He could nowhere find a berry or even a drop of water to quench his hunger and thirst. He cast himself faint and despairing at the foot of a pine tree. He earnestly prayed to God not to let him famish in the forest. Tormented by hunger, he searched in his pouch to find, if possible, just a few crumbs of bread, which he had brought with him from home and eaten on the road to Roharstein. But what was his joy, his rapture, on finding a large piece of cake and some juicy pears. "Oh," said he, "it was the cook. It was the cook put these here, without my knowledge." The poor boy shed tears of gratitude and resolved that he would always be charitable to the needy, especially if they were strangers. The footnote, and this is where he would read, I guess, Hebrews 13:2. And also, that if ever he were rich enough, he certainly would not forget the kindness of the good cook. Here's the thing, cook wasn't rich, and she found a way to be kind by giving away stuff that belonged to her master. I don't know. "Under God," said he, "it was she that saved my life. If she had not given me the cake and pears, I should have perished here in the wild forest." So he prays to God for food. He gets food, and then he thanks the cook. Which, I mean, from what we know so far, like, it was probably the cook, right? I mean, it is a fairy tale, so there's a chance that there was, higher being and or magic going on. But, I mean, he is so faithful and believes in God so much, and he knows, like, this, I'm assuming, since we're being told to read the Bible verses, that he knows the Bible verses. He knows that God created stuff out of nothing, and, the fishes and loaves story, so, but no, it's probably the cook. Fred rose, refreshed and strengthened, and proceeded onward again with renewed courage. He walked in the direction of Grothenfall, as well as he could judge by the position of the sun. And after having advanced about a league, he heard the cheering sounds of a woodman's axe in the distance. Hurrying on in the direction of the sounds, he found two men cutting down a large pine tree. They pointed out the road to Grothenfall, where he arrived safely, to the great joy of his parents, who had been dreadfully alarmed on his account. And there's like 10 more pages, but that seems like a good spot to stop for now. If you'd like to hear the rest of the story, in the comments below, put your favorite food emoji. Or if you're on a computer and or don't have a way to comment emojis, just what's your favorite food? Put that in the comments below. I'm curious, and also it's a way for me to know whether or not you want me to continue reading this and giving my commentary. If you don't want me to read any more of this or make any more videos featuring really old fairy tales, although I don't think this is a fairy tale. There's been no magical element so far. But if you don't want me to do any more reading and commentating on stories in this book, comment down below your favorite animal emoji. Or just like write an animal. But otherwise, what I really want to know is, do you have a favorite story from growing up? Fairy tale or otherwise? I had a few that I really enjoyed at different stages, but I had this one book of different versions of the Rumpelstiltskin story, and I loved that, but I don't know whatever happened to it. It had like 7 or 8 different versions of that story in there, and some were magical, some were less magical. I would give a little bit of the history of the story, but mostly I just like the stories. Alright, thank you so much for watching and listening to this half-baked idea. What do I think? Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe, because every subscriber helps me get to my goal of beating John in number of subscribers. He's at 190,000 something, and I'm at 134, I think. I got a ways to go. I mean, if you want to unsubscribe from him and then just like be subscribed to me, no, don't do that. His videos are amazing. Good night, sweet dreams. Welcome to the end screen. You made it to the end screen. This is a video that YouTube thinks you like. This is a different video that probably is my latest video, or maybe those two are switched, and then click here for subscribe. Good night.